Imagine opening your door to find a squad of HOA goons armed with paintbrushes, ready to erase your home's soul under the command of a self-righteous busybody named Marlene, who thinks her clipboard grants her godlike powers. But what if that invasion sparked a colorful uprising that exposed her as the neighborhood's biggest fraud, turning her iron-fisted harmony into a hilarious spectacle of defeat? In the quiet suburbs of Evergreen Heights, Colorado, where every lawn was manicured to perfection and every mailbox screamed conformity, Jack Harlan thought he'd found his slice of the American dream. A software engineer in his mid-40s, Jack had moved into the old Victorian-style house 3 years back, drawn by its quirky charm amid the sea of identical McMansions. The neighborhood looked idyllic on the surface, kids on bikes, barbecues on weekends, but beneath it simmered a pressure cooker of petty rules enforced by the Homeowners Association. And at the helm, unofficial yet unchallenged, was Marlene Whitaker, a retired accountant who wielded the HOA bylaws like a scepter. With her perfectly coiffed bob, pearl earrings, and a smile that never reached her eyes, Marlene preached community standards while micromanaging everyone's life. Jack had heard the whispers. She once found a family for a bird feeder that attracted unsightly wildlife, and rumor had it she'd reported a neighbor's holiday lights for disrupting nocturnal tranquility. But Jack kept his head down, focusing on his garden and his weekend hikes in the Rockies. That is, until Marlene set her sights on him. It started innocently enough, or so it seemed. One crisp autumn morning, Jack noticed a flyer tucked into his mailbox, an HOA notice about enhancing curb appeal through uniform landscaping. He chuckled, tossing it aside. His lot, inherited from his late uncle, was one of the few grandfathered properties exempt from full HOA oversight. The original deed predated the association's formation by a decade, a detail buried in dusty county records. But Marlene didn't care for technicalities. She thrived on control. And Jack's wildflower patch, with its bursts of red poppies and yellow sunflowers, offended her beige sensibilities. "It's not about the flowers," she'd say in her saccharine voice at neighborhood gatherings. "It's about unity. We all sacrifice a little for the greater good." Jack ignored the subtle digs at first, the sideways glances from her cronies, the murmurs about his unkempt yard during block parties. But then the rumors started. Whispers that Jack was antisocial, that his garden was a breeding ground for pests, even a baseless tale that he'd been seen dumping chemicals illegally. "Jack overheard it at the local coffee shop, you know. Marlene says he's lowering property values. What kind of person doesn't want to fit in?" He bit his tongue, observing quietly. Inside, though, he catalogued every slight, every manipulation. Marlene wasn't just enforcing rules, she was building a narrative to isolate him, all while smiling like a benevolent queen. The tension simmered until one fateful Tuesday. Jack was sipping his black coffee, scrolling through emails, when a knock echoed like a gavel. Opening the door, he faced Marlene flanked by two burly contractors in HOA-branded vests, clipboards in hand and weed whackers at the ready. "Good morning, Jack," Marlene cooed, her tone dripping with faux politeness. "We've received multiple complaints about your eclectic garden, per Section 7.2 of the bylaws. Non-compliant landscaping must be standardized for aesthetic cohesion." Jack blinked, steam rising from his mug. "Complaints? From who?" Marlene waved her clipboard dismissively. "Anonymous. Of course. To protect harmony. These gentlemen will remove the offending plants and reseed with approved sod. It's for the best, think of the children playing nearby." The contractor shifted uncomfortably, avoiding his eyes. Jack stepped forward, voice steady. "Marlene. My property isn't under full HOA jurisdiction. You know that. Her smile tightened, eyes narrowing behind her designer glasses. Oh. Jack. Always the contrarian. The board voted last night. Non-compliance affects us all. Now, if you'll excuse us. The men advanced, one firing up a trimmer that buzzed like an angry hornet. Jack watched in stunned silence as they hacked at his poppies, petals flying like confetti in a massacre. Marlene stood sentinel, arms crossed, nodding approvingly. See? Already looking better. Uniformity breeds peace. Inside, Jack's mind raced, not with rage, but calculation. He snapped discrete photos on his phone, documenting every slice of the blade. This wasn't just about flowers, it was war declared under the guise of community care. But yelling wouldn't win. Patience would. As the days blurred into weeks, Marlene's victory lap turned the neighborhood into her echo chamber. She hosted an appreciation tea at her pristine colonial home, where she regaled attendees with tales of Jack's defiance. Poor Jack, she'd sigh, stirring her herbal tea with a silver spoon. He just doesn't understand that rules keep us civilized. His garden was an eyesore, imagine if everyone went rogue. Laughter tinkled like fragile glass. But Jack heard the undercurrent of unease. A few neighbors avoided his gaze when they passed his now bald patch of dirt, reseeded with monotonous green sod that looked like astroturf from a bad mini-golf course. The rumors escalated. Jack was unstable, a troublemaker who might sue the HOA out of spite. One evening, as he grilled burgers alone, a kid from down the street whispered, "My mom says you're gonna get fined big time." Jack smiled faintly. "Tell her thanks for the concern." But solitude sharpened his focus. Late nights, he pored over the HOA charter and his deed, highlighter in hand. There it was, a clause buried in fine print: homeowners may enhance personal property with thematic elements that reflect individual expression, provided they remain within boundaries. Thematic elements. Jack's lips curled into a smirk. Marlene wanted uniformity? He'd give her expression on steroids. He ordered supplies online, vibrant seed packets, quirky ornaments, even solar-powered lights that pulsed in rainbow hues. But he waited, letting her gloat. At the next block party, Marlene cornered him by the punch bowl. "Jack. Darling. I hope there's no hard feelings. Your yard looks so much integrated now." Her eyes gleamed with triumph. Jack nodded serenely. "Absolutely. Marlene. Integration is key. But sometimes, a splash of personality really ties it together." She chuckled patronizingly, missing the glint in his eye. That night, under cover of darkness, Jack began his quiet rebellion. The escalation hit like a summer storm. Marlene's morning walk with her yappy Pomeranian halted abruptly as she rounded the corner to Jack's house. Her coffee sloshed over the rim as she gaped at the transformation. His once sterile sod now exploded with a riot of wildflowers in electric pinks and blues, interspersed with garden gnomes dressed as superheroes. Wind chimes tinkling mockingly, and those pulsing lights casting a disco glow on the sidewalk. "What in the name of decency is this?" she hissed, her dog yipping in confusion. Jack emerged, watering can in hand, feigning surprise. "Morning, Marlene. Just exercising my thematic rights. Clause 12.4, individual expression. Remember?" Her face flushed crimson, lips pursing like she'd sucked a lemon. "This isn't expression, it's anarchy. Those gnomes are vulgar. And the lights? They'll give someone a seizure." Neighbors peeked from windows. "Phones out." capturing the showdown. Vulgar? They're heroic, Jack replied evenly. Fighting for freedom against. Well. Overreach. Marlene whipped out her phone. Dialing Greg. The spineless HOA president. Greg. Emergency. Jack's turned his yard into a carnival sideshow. We need an injunction, now. By afternoon. A small crowd gathered. Kids giggled at the gnomes, one teen snapped selfies. Dude. This is lit, he said. Marlene paced. Lecturing anyone listening, this sets a dangerous precedent. If we allow this. Next it'll be flamingos and inflatables. A retiree chuckled. Flamingos might liven things up. Marlene shot him a glare that could wilt steel. Greg arrived. Sweating profusely. Bylaws in tow. Jack. This is bold. But technically. Marlene interrupted. Voice shrill. Technically nothing. It's a visual assault. Jack crossed his arms. Assault? You assaulted my garden first. This is just restoration, with flair. The debate raged. Marlene's arguments growing more absurd, the colors clash with the street signs. It's a safety hazard. Laughter rippled through the group. Her authority cracking like cheap paint. That evening. She slammed flyers into mailboxes, vote to amend expression clause, restore order. But whispers turned to chuckles. Jack's yard had become a symbol of pushback against her tyranny. The powder keg ignited at the emergency HOA meeting in the community center. A bland room with fluorescent lights buzzing like trapped flies. Marlene presided like a judge. Projector beaming photos of Jack's yard zoomed in on a gnome flipping the bird, subtly. Of course. Exhibit A, this abomination mocks our values, she declared. Voice echoing. Murmurs rose, some nodded. Others smirked. Greg cleared his throat. Marlene. The clause allows, she cut him off. Allows chaos? Jack's not even fully in the HOA. He's exploiting a loophole to undermine us. Gasps echoed. Jack stood. Calm as a monk. Undermine? You vandalized my property first. Without verifying my status. I just enhanced it. He passed out copies of his deed. Grandfathered out. Your standardization was illegal. The room buzzed. Marlene's eyes widened in shock. Then narrowed to slits. You tricked us. This is entrapment. Jack leaned in. Voice low but cutting. Tricked? You assumed power you didn't have. Now. About reimbursement for my original plants. Laughter erupted, even Greg stifled a grin. Marlene banged her gavel, improvised from a water bottle. This meeting is about standards. Not your petty revenge. But the tide turned. A young mom spoke up, my kids love the lights. It's fun. An old vet added, reminds me of fighting for freedom against dictators. Marlene sputtered. Face twisting in fury. Dictators? I'm protecting this community. Jack smiled mildly. From color? How noble. Votes trickled in, the amendment failed. Marlene stormed out. Muttering threats, this isn't over. I'll take it higher. Jack watched her go. The room alive with chatter. Her facade was fracturing. Revealing the petty tyrant beneath. High noon came in the form of a county hearing. Dragged there by Marlene's nuisance suit claiming Jack's yard caused emotional duress and devaluation. The courtroom in downtown Evergreen was packed, neighbors. Local reporters. Even a film crew from the evening news. Marlene sat ramrod straight. Her lawyer, a slick suit fresh from law school, droning about chromatic harassment. Photos of the gnomes flashed on screen, eliciting chuckles from the gallery. When Jack's turn came, his buddy attorney, Riley, a sharp-tongued litigator with a flair for drama, laid it bare. "Your Honor, Miss Whitaker overstepped, illegally altering private property outside HOA bounds." Jack's response? Protected expression under state free speech laws. Riley played a montage, neighbors praising the vibrant oasis, kids laughing. Even an art critic calling it suburban surrealism. The judge, a no-nonsense woman with a wry smile, leaned forward. "Miss Whitaker, you claim distress from gnomes?" Marlene stood, voice quivering with rage. "It's not the gnomes, it's the mockery. He's humiliating me." The judge raised an eyebrow. Humiliating? Or highlighting overreach? Case dismissed. And Mr. Harlan's display is hereby deemed artistic expression, untouchable. Applause thundered. Marlene's face crumpled from smug confidence to wide-eyed panic, her hands shaking as she gathered papers. Outside, reporters swarmed. "How does it feel to lose to a garden?" She pushed through, silent for once. Back home, the HOA ousted her from influence. Her house hit the market weeks later. Jack's yard bloomed unchecked, inspiring copycats, colorful planters, quirky decor. The neighborhood breathed freer, her reign a punchline, as the moving truck hauled Marlene's beige existence away. Jack stood on his porch, the wind chimes singing victory. What started as her crusade for control ended in a rainbow revolt that exposed her hypocrisy. But here's the twist to chew on: was Jack the hero for fighting back with clever chaos? Or did his escalation make him just as manipulative as the HOA queen he dethroned?